Lake Norfork, stop number 3 of the Bassmaster Open Division 2. Today's day 1 of practice, and this is kind of my home region. Table Rock, Bull Shoals, Norfork, Beaver, all of these are part of the White River system, and this is kind of my forte that I love to go fish, and it's gonna be probably a scoping game if I were to guess. The water temp's like 55 degrees, and I was just on Bull Shoals for 2 days prior to this, and I did a lot of minnowing, fishing some bait balls, and there's a lot of fish out there, so it's the same thing is gonna play on this. The lake sets up the same exact way. We just need to be able to go figure it out. One thing about this lake this week is it is tiny. It is 22,000 acres, which when I say that, it doesn't sound small, but when you put 230 of the best anglers in the world on this lake, it fishes really, really small. So the main goal is try to find some fish that is to ourselves, that we can go fish, and they don't get overpressured and they can last the whole time. So the length limit on this lake is 13 inches. So catching a limit is hopefully not going to be an issue. Catching big fish is normally going to be the hard part. So we just rolled back into some of these smaller creeks up one of the main river arms, and just like Bull Shoals, in the I'd say like the back thirds of the creeks, there is a ton of bait and a ton of fish on them. And that was the deal there, and I think that's the deal here. I just don't know if catching a big fish out of it is plausible. I think you could do it and end up catching 11 pounds if you fish the whole day. And our goal is about 15 pounds a day. So we're gonna try to head a little bit more further up the river and try to find some more stained water, even though that rain hasn't hit us yet. And the kind of how I talked about it being really, really small, these fish, yes, they're back here, they're on the bait, they are catchable, but once this, I think we're supposed to get like 5-6 inches of rain in the matter of 2-3 days. And once that happens, this water's gonna come up, all this in the backs is gonna get super muddy, and they're gonna suck to the bank, and then it's gonna be a spinnerbait and a crankbait and that type of deal. So we're just gonna keep on looking around and seeing what happens. There we go. We just kind of, the last time I checked in with you guys, we were in the back of the creeks doing that deal. The other deal that goes on this time of year is fishing these bluff walls. So as you can see behind me, this is what you call bluff, and these bigger fish just kind of go and roam for bait just off. And we're just driving around scoping, and this guy just came up and bit it. And these are the fish that will get you in the top 10 of this tournament. So we're gonna keep on going down this wall and seeing what happens. We tried to do some river ratting, and it did not work. There is only a bunch of 12 inchers smallmouth and spotted bass up there, and I maybe saw a 2-pounder with my eyes, but no big ones. So we got our river ratting out for the day, and now we're just gonna go back down and fish some of the bluff walls and the creeks and do the normal type of fishing. If this is a bass, it's a big one.
Totally different. Fight totally different. He dives like that.
Not these again. We need to not be catching these. All right, so we just fished. We started at the mouth of this, live scoped in, and then we threw a swim bait down the channel swing, and then we noticed that they started schooling out here in the middle of this pocket, and I didn't have anything shad other than a minnow, and it's only like 3-4 foot deep. So I tied on a ATV square bill and threw it out there, and it was like, I got bumped. My first cast got bumped. My second cast, they were like third cast and caught one, and they're schooling out here. And you know, not a big smallmouth, but a 2-pounder, 2 1/4, and just seems like getting bites, and I think the name of the game is just going to be staying around fish the entire day. I don't think there is a reason to catch big ones, like a specific deal. It's just fishing. All right, so yesterday ended a little bit early. We came back to go grab some sandwiches from the house we forgot, and then we looked up in the sky, and all of a sudden lightning and thunderstorm and rain, tornado watch. And by the time we got to the house, it actually started hailing, and we got some damage on the truck. Had a few rods that got lost in battle, so that's not a fun deal. But here we are, day number 2, Lake Norfork, and I think here's what's going down. I think the water temp's like 58 to 63 degrees, depending on where you are, but those fish want to spawn. But we're just a hair too early, and the fish are back there, and they're feeding on bait, and they're actually schooling. It's end of March, early April, and they are schooling on top. And like that smallmouth you guys saw me catch yesterday on a square bill, that's kind of what we're gonna go put a lot of pressure on today, and see if we can't go replicate that throughout the lake, and try to find that active region. So that's the plan for today. See the school of them coming in on the right side of the screen. So we've caught one short today, and that was in the back of the creek on that schooling deal, but with the ice that hit the lake in the front that hit the lake yesterday, the water temp dropped like 7 to 10 degrees depending on the section of lake. So these fish are acting a little bit weird, but of course that was on the surface temp, and you know, things are changing. So we're just trying to remove some variables. We went back to this bluff deal. We're going to try that real quick, and then make our way up the river where it's a little bit more stained, and then go back to that school and bite. Ooh, baby, I love. That was some good B-roll.
That was smooth. Congrats. 13-pound day.
Oh, no, that's like...
You think? 14?
13.
Bunch of threes today.
So it's currently like 4:40, and we are down by the dam in one of these creeks, and just caught a 3.5 pounder, and we're just kind of roaming around. There's a lot of fish here, but they're very far apart, and they are more willing to bite than up the river because there's a lot less pressure down here. So I'm gonna roll with this for most of the rest of the day down here by the dam. I don't think this is the deal, but maybe you can come down here and pick up a bonus 3.5 pound fish if, you know, say everything else fails. But just trying to check this back up and tomorrow we're gonna focus more up the river, where I think we're gonna spend the tournament. But so about 2 hours left, just gonna put our head down, finish the day out, and go grab some food and some beers with the boys and go have some fun.
You're catching everything today.
In case anybody's wondering, Logan's like, hey, can I steal that mic from you? I'm like, hey, hold up, there's a fish right here, and I make it flip right next to the boat. A little minnow.
I didn't think he was gonna catch it.
All right, so that is a wrap for day number 2 of practice, and today was a lot better than yesterday. I didn't necessarily catch as many fish as I did yesterday, but the areas that I was catching those fish in, there's a bunch of them there, and I think it's very replicable. And I was just looking at my graph, we got like 8-9 different areas, not spots, areas that have bass in it, because I think this term with this much rain, we're gonna have to be very fluid on how we manage our fish, catch our fish, and then hopefully, you know, get to the point where we can just rail on them as we go through. So that's a wrap for today, and we're gonna go ahead and get back to the boat dock, put her on the trailer, and go grab some dinner. All right, day number 3 of practice, and today's the final day. This is the last day of no rain either. So tomorrow we've got 1 inch coming. The next day we got 1.5 inches coming, and then the final day there's like 4 or 5 inches predicted. So it's record-breaking rain down here at Lake Norfork. So we've, I think all of practice is going to go to crap, but we'll see how that one plays out. So today we're going to kind of get a gauge shallow and just run and gun a lot of the backs of pockets. And I know a lot of people are fishing them, but just trying to find somehow to catch a true big one, a big one. So we're gonna go not use live scope today and go see what happens.
No way. Oh, geez, look at that. Is that the good one, too?
Yeah, $700 rod gone. Of course.
At least it was on a tank.
Conditions are quite opposite of what tournament day is going to be. As you guys can see, it's basically bluebird sky. There is a little bit of wind, and it's going to be completely different in the tournament. So I think today's going to be an interesting practice day just because there's only so much water to fish without catching fish you don't need to. So there's just going to be a lot of just fishing random stuff, checking some bluff walls, checking some flats. Most of the guts and in the middle of the creeks that we were looking for yesterday, we pretty much already checked. So we're just gonna go eliminate some water, get some conspiracies out of our head, and then just get mentally prepared for tomorrow.
Yeah, the second they like see that line fall on top of them, they're beating that electric slide. They're like, slide. They're like, I don't want this.
Sounds about right. I think it's gonna time for a spot lock. And Sammy. All right. It's currently 12:19, and we've kind of covered the water that I wanted to fish so far. That I talked about this morning about wanting to go fish a little bit shallow. We threw a mag draft, a crankbait. Didn't have any, I had one bump on a mag draft, and that was it. And then I started running some more channel swings and looking just off of the channel swings for suspenders eating bait. And the fish that we've caught today have been doing that. Nothing big, but it's obvious to me that those are the catchable fish. And at this point, we're just gonna go double check everything, make sure everything's good to go. Just kind of give one last run through the lake and the areas that we're fishing and check any unmarked areas, and then go from there.